Good evening and welcome to the first of three meetings tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove, and at this time we will convene our Board of Sanitation meeting for Monday, October the 19th, 2020. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my left.
Dave Harrison.
James Kaufman, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Sandy Seward.
Thank you, Board. You have been presented a printed copy of the minutes of the previous meeting dated Monday, October the 5th, 2020. Floor is open for any questions, comments, or corrections.
I have none, thank you.
I have none.
No questions, comments, or corrections. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. This evening, Board, we have 2 pages of wastewater claims in the amount of $177,387.34. Floor is open for any questions or comments.
I have none, thank you.
I have none.
No questions or comments. I'll ask for a motion to approve the wastewater claims dated October the 19th, 2020 in the amount of $177,387.34.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. We have no unfinished business this evening, and we have no new business. Comments from board members?
I have none, thank you.
I have none.
No comments. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn the Board of Sanitation meeting.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
The meeting is adjourned, and we will reset and begin the Board of Public Works and Safety meeting. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the second of 3 meetings tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. And at this time, we will convene our Board of Public Works and Safety meeting for Monday, October the 19th, 2020. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my left.
Dave Harrison.
James Kaufman, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Sandy Seward.
Thank you, Board. You have been presented a printed copy of the minutes of the previous meeting dated Monday, October the 5th, 2020. Floor is open for questions, comments, or corrections.
I have none, thank you.
I have none.
No questions, comments, or corrections. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. This evening, Board, we have 11 pages of corporate claims in the amount of $317,529.67. Floor is open for questions or comments.
I have none, thank
No questions or comments. I'll ask for a motion to approve the corporate claims dated October the 19th, 2020 in the amount of $317,529.67.
you. I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. This evening, Board, we have no unfinished business. We have a couple items under new business. The first is a request to surplus a copier at the Senior Citizen Center. And I'll ask the clerk to read the letter into the record, please.
Board of Public Works and Safety. We would like to add our 4-drawer Canon printer ID number V74003 to surplus. It no longer prints. Thank you, Stephanie Bramlett, Director of Senior Services.
Comments or questions from board members?
I have a question, is this just an old printer,
It is.
not
It's-
worth fixing?
We've tried. It was on a maintenance plan, and they basically said we're done. We can't. They quit doing it. So we're working on getting a printer for downstairs, and she'll get our old one,
Sure.
and that way she'll get something.
Perfect, thank you.
Any further questions or comments?
I have
I have
none.
none.
Not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the request from the Senior Director to surplus the Canon printer.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. Next order of business is a resignation from DPW. And I'll ask the clerk to read the letter into the record, please.
Dear Board, I, Marcus Pyle, do hereby voluntarily submit my resignation to the City of Beech Grove, effective October 30th, 2020. The City of Beech Grove and I are parting on good terms, and I have given proper notice to my supervisors. At this time, I do not have any accrued vacation, sick, personal, or comp time to be compensated for. Respectfully, Marcus Pyle.
Marcus is moving to Illinois, so we wish him the best of luck. He was a good employee for us. So any questions from board members?
I know that Brad is not here. Will we be backfilling him?
Yeah, I think Brad's intent is to come to the next meeting and ask to hire someone.
Perfect. Thank you.
No questions or comments. I'll ask for a motion to accept the resignation of Marcus Pyle.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. I passed out a sheet of paper a minute ago that was not on the agenda. It came in over the weekend, and it was a proposal to paint a traffic box located at Emerson and Hornet, right by the Taco Bell. I would like to paint this traffic box art the usual Beech Grove Hornet logo on the front with a gray background, which is included in this mail. The rest of the box would be painted black. So if you have seen that traffic box, it's in pretty bad shape, and it needs a good paint job. So I'll open it up for any questions or comments.
I think it's a great idea, especially right there by the high school.
And here's a picture of the Hornet that he proposes that he paints. No further questions or comments. I'll ask for a motion to permit Sam Postumus to paint the traffic control box at Hornet and Emerson.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. That concludes new business. Comments from board members?
I have none. Thank
I have
you.
none.
No comments. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
The meeting is adjourned. We will convene our city council meeting this evening at 7 p.m. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the third and final meeting this evening. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove, and at this time we will convene a special Common Council meeting for Monday, October the 19th, 2020. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my left.
Dave Harrison, District 5. Kevin Day, District 4.
Elizabeth Lamping, Common Council, District 1.
Gary Hall, District 2.
Sarah Ferguson, at large.
Robert Ferguson, District 3.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
James Kaufman, Clerk Treasurer.
Thank you, Council. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, we'll have an invocation. Pastor?
Thank you, Mayor, City County Council members. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to come and make decisions, Lord, for the citizens of Beech Grove. Father, we ask for your wisdom, for an understanding heart, Father, so that we can
Council, you have been presented a printed copy of the minutes of the previous meeting dated Monday, October the 5th, 2020. Floor is open for any questions, comments, or corrections. If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. This evening, we have no public comments. Under unfinished business, we have two ordinances this evening. General Ordinance Number 8, 2020 is up for approval on second reading only.
Dennis, I wanted to bring up a point. I know we have no audience here, no public comments, no public. Can we just make a motion to, for the salary and the budget, second reading only tonight, and delay the third to the next meeting?
You know, I know I talked to Bobby about it this afternoon, and I talked to you a couple times about it today. I completely support that, but I found out something, the clerk advised me of something on the salary ordinance that I was to pass on some information to you. Jim?
So the budget, yes. So I did some research. He mentioned that might be a possibility, so I did some research today. The budget, the deadline for all taxing units to adopt their 2021 budget, tax rates and tax levies is November 2nd. So if we do decide to do that, it's already been entered on the gateway and advertised that we are adopting it tonight. That's what our Form B and our Form 3 say. So they said, I called the DLGF and asked them if we can delay that. They said, well, you've already entered in your Form 3 and Form 4. If you decide to do that tonight, you can do second reading. To do it on the gateway, you have to enter it so it can be advertised what you're advertising for. So the first time after our workshop, we advertised what our budget was going to be. So you advertise, and that's where we changed it to 6:30, so you just have to advertise that. So if you look at form, you can change it. That's just what we had planned on. So we had planned on scheduling these events today.
Got it.
So they're just dates that are advertised. If you look at Form 4 is in your packet. It has this here. So it just says date of adoption is 10/19.
Can that be revised to meet the requirements?
For the budget, yes. And that's what I said. So they said that's fine. You just continue your meeting, do it second reading tonight, continue the meeting for November 2nd, approve it on third and final reading on November 2nd. That's the last day that you can approve your budget. But the salary ordinance is something different. That one has to be approved by November 1st. I don't know why the dates are different.
And if it isn't, what happens?
He says you default to the current ordinance that's on file right now.
We go to the current ordinance that we're using right now.
All right.
So what?
Nobody gets pay raises.
So what you're, let me just summarize. So what you're saying is if we don't vote it tonight, then employees don't get raises for 2021.
Correct, because it's not approved by the November 1st deadline for the state. Because all along our schedule last month was to approve it on second and third reading tonight. So that's what we had scheduled up until, I guess, today, so.
Has
That's what we
anybody,
had.
has anybody from the public come down to City Hall asking to look
No.
at the budget and the
Nobody?
salary ordinance? Nobody?
No, sir.
Were there any emails that requested to be read tonight regarding this? You didn't get one from Kevin Cocker?
I do it.
Should those be read per the attorney's advice, or?
No, I have not gotten any emails about the salary or the ordinance, no.
Nobody's come into City Hall?
No, sir. So we gotta.
During this time, again, I want to be unified as a council, so I'm asking for help here, because you guys have all the wisdom. I went back historically, and I know, Jim, you're new to this too. And I tried to look for people with wisdom within past budget discussions within our city. I didn't look at Evansville, I didn't look at Gary, Indiana. I looked at people within my city that had wisdom. And I tried to apply that wisdom that they displayed at that time of discussion. Within that, and I want to give kudos to Mrs. Lampany, 2016 September. She had questions about the 2017 budget, much like I do now, sitting here, because I know as a council member, and I don't know how you guys were, but I personally wasn't involved with the process. I don't even know if that's protocol to be part of the budget committee. You know, you have the executive officer, you have the treasurer, you have a consultant, Mr. Peters, you have department heads, I'm assuming, I think per emails, but none of, again, I don't know if you guys were involved with that. So to say, hey, here's your entire, budget, to be not part of that process, there's a lot of stumbling blocks in there. And then we did have an open workshop, and I did ask department heads, at which time I said, are you guys willing? Again, I'm not picking on any department, we're all in this together. I said to that department head, are you willing to consider thinking outside the box? And it was a flat no. A couple days go by, and then it comes in, and then each department now has to pull within their budget. Okay? So as a taxpayer, and I'm very conservative, those additional monies were in that budget when I first asked that first question. But yet I've got department heads at that time weren't willing to make the sacrifice from the high tier of their position to meet the criteria of their lower employees' funds. That was a thing. And I think also at that time, Dave, we talked in the back, their vehicles, body cam, let's put everything on there. What can we do to ensure your people get paid? And then, of course, Mr. Peters got up there and was very eloquent on the forecast. It's like, we're being very generous as a legislative body with money that we won't even know that's there until the second quarter of next year. We don't know that.
Gary, that happens every year.
It does, but we just suffered this incredibly bad virus. And quite frankly, we're getting ready to go back into the hole again. So for us to sit here,
They say the worst is yet to come.
so let me be very blunt and honest with everybody. So here we go, okay?
Put your mask on, please. Okay, good, thank you.
It's a thing where as the department heads and as leadership of our community, elected officials, if 6 months, 9 months down the road, are we prepared to say, who are you going to lay off? Who are we going to have to let go? Or do we choose right here, right now, to stand a line and be conservative and ensure employment for the next 12 months? Because 22, 23, and 24 are all projected to even get worse. And that's the model. And I've
That's
spent,
how it was presented on the first budget, without
Exactly.
salary raises, without any
Exactly.
raises, because I'm concerned about that, because I want people here, I want employees, but that's how it was presented on the first budget.
Exactly.
And in the budget workshop is that there's no money for raises, because we don't know what's gonna happen in the next year. So that's how it was presented, and then you guys wanted to change it to 2%. I think our employees are well worth it, all of them are, we have some great
Plus, we
employees
got
here in the city.
the tax money back, sorry to interrupt, we got the tax money back too, for public safety.
Correct, they project a little bit more, correct.
So,
Correct, so that helps, absolutely.
yeah, that's here right now.
Absolutely.
We're talking
That
projections.
helps 100%, not 100%.
Talking project. Let's say we go out tomorrow, we hire 20 new people across the board.
well, we can't do it.
Well, there's no new hires.
Exactly. The money's not going to be there.
There's no
So-
new
There's no
hires.
new hires.
I'm sorry, I'm giving you an example.
Clear out.
Or let's say we buy another ambulance, or let's say we buy other equipment. If the money's not there soundly, we're making some very, very poor decisions. And I just want to, I hate to have to tell a young guy, a new family moved here, sorry, we're going to have to lay you off. I'm
I
sorry.
don't see that happening.
Well, I can tell you, Gary, I've been on here, this is my ninth one, and the first 2 years, I can't already talk this thing on. The first 2 years, Dan was under a situation where we really didn't know what we had.
Sure.
And I'm not knocking anybody, but the prior administration had done some things they might not have, and even the gentleman that was lives next door to Dan, he was the prior.
Chris?
Chris Duffer, yeah. Chris was all but honest and told everybody, hey, I worked with him, we're doing the best we can. And so, but there was a problem with the department heads. Every time Dan, the first year he did this, he was trying to scale back, and it became quite an argument. The second year was no different. So the second year, Anthony Davison wanted to have a committee a budget committee to meet with department heads. So we did that, me, Anthony, and Ed Bell. And we did each department head. And this is the third year. And by the third year, we found we could do more than what Dan wanted to do.
Okay.
Not saying Dan did bad, he was watching the city's money. And, but we did find that the ambulance was bringing in a lot more than what Dan even speculated. And there was some other money coming in from something that Gary, or Jeff Peters pointed out. And I said, well, did you take any, or well, Ed said, did you take any of this into consideration on the budget? And he said, no. And he said, well, what if we took this into consideration? Could we do this, this, and this? And he said, sure. So we put it in the budget. We had that committee for about 3 years. And after that, it was just to the point where Dan had done it so much, there was no more problems between him and the fire and the police and the DPW.
Right.
He did it, and it just kind of quit. And I can't see that this one is any different than those last few budgets. Yeah, you're always going to run into something, but, I mean, I don't see this budget here being much different than last year's, to be honest with you, and I guess we got to watch our, and I think Dan even put in 2% raises for all elected officials, and that was never, when we got a raise on elected officials, I don't remember even when it was, my intent was not to give elected officials 2% every year like that Dan put it in the budget.
Right.
And my intent would be, on that, would be, when my 4 years is up, put that 2% in for the next year. And that's the only time you get elected officials a raise.
Once every 4 years.
And I'm going out this time, I'm not running again. So if we put it in my fourth year, the next year, the new people get that raise, and that's the only raise they get. When unless, you're reelected. But that's the elected officials, to me, you have to pay them something. We were so far behind other cities and towns, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember those comments.
And yeah, we still are. I mean, Southport just started a council, and I guarantee you, they're not that I care about council.
Right.
But their council's making probably $1,500. You gotta pay it. But I don't see this being different. We did have, I'm getting off track now, but I did say we did have a budget committee, but we've never had one since because it's just never been really needed.
But do you find something like that would have been helpful to you as a council member? A budget, being part of the solution? I mean, I know,
Absolutely. Yeah,
asking.
I think that would have been helpful to have that.
I would have taken any help anybody was willing to offer, so.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is my first time, so I kind of relied on department heads and the State Board of Accounts and DLGF and emails and stuff like that and going to the previous things that have been done, so that's what I based all my work on, so.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm new and there's a lot to learn with this job and that's what I'm trying to do and that's what we presented with that first budget. You just have to advertise that budget in order to adopt it and vote on it the first time, so that's why it had to be published on the gateway in order for that to happen.
We should probably make a side note for
Yeah, absolutely. I
next
mean,
year around August, September, we start
oh, absolutely. I'm all
getting the
for it.
budget
Absolutely.
put together.
Start earlier.
Absolutely. I'm all for that 100% because, like I said, it's tough. I mean, like I said, I hope I presented a good budget. Like I said, it was tough. I worked on it, and there were a lot of late nights and long days. But like I said, working with the department heads, they've all been through this several times. Most of them have, so that they kind of helped along the way.
Well, and keep in mind too, when we had a budget committee, there was 3 of us. I don't know, I was on it the first year, I may have been on it another year, I don't remember, but the thing is, the budget committee come back to the council and said, we've got with the clerk treasurer and this looks as good as we're gonna get it. It didn't mean though that, say, and I'll just throw out Anthony, because Anthony disagreed with a lot, but it didn't mean that Anthony wouldn't disagree with it. You're still gonna get somebody that may disagree with it, but even though the budget committee recommended it, along with the clerk treasurer and the department heads, it didn't mean, you still weren't gonna have an argument, or with somebody in the audience.
Yeah, discussion.
So it's a no-win situation.
Well, I know in my first year on the council, and the mayor was quite welcoming, it's up to the council person to step up and get interested in, and you welcomed me into the department, I could sit in on the department discussions for the budgets, and you were very welcoming as a council, so if the effort has to come from the council to get involved in it. So if,
And it's a
If
crazy year
the-
too, as you all know. I mean, because
yeah, with COVID,
in the beginning, Gary was very, I mean, he'd stop by City Hall, have questions, he'd be there, getting his mail and asking questions in the beginning, and then COVID hit and everything shut down, and you just don't see anybody. So it's hard to compare this year to
Right,
previous years,
right.
but yeah, I mean, like I said, any help that you guys want to offer along the way, I'm all for it. I know it's my job, you guys are council members, you have your own duties as elected officials, as I do me, but yeah, I mean, any help at all, I'd appreciate anything.
Well, and the last thing I'll say too is Dan always told us every year he had to have this in by the end of
Yeah.
October. So that's why we've always done 2 meetings in October to get it passed and get it done. This year is different, I mean, with the COVID, but, you gotta make exceptions sometimes, but, I know he used to tell us, I have to have this done by the end of October.
And that's kind of what I saw from my research, is that it's usually that first meeting, you have your workshop, and then you present it, first reading on that first meeting, you have any changes, adjustments, great, you make those adjustments, and then 2 weeks later, second and third reading happen, and that's usually when it gets confirmed then. So at least that's what's happened in the past. I did email the DLGF, and she does say that, she says, because I asked specifically about this budget, because when the budget, I saw 2 dates. I saw November 1st someplace and then November 2nd on an email I got today from Commissioner Bennett. And I said, I just want to confirm that the budgets are November 2nd, not November 1st. And she says, correct. The statutory deadline is November 1st, but when that falls on a weekend, we move it to the following Monday. So this year, the deadline is November 2nd. That's a DLGF. The salary ordinance goes to the State Board of Accounts. So I'm assuming that's probably going to be the same way, but I haven't gotten word back. I just responded back to her just to see if that also applies to the salary ordinance, if that can be November 2nd. But I'm assuming it would, following the statute there, but like I said, she hasn't responded yet, but I'm hoping she'll respond here in just a minute, because I just got her email at 7:01. So,
I'm getting several messages saying this isn't on the Facebook Live. Is that not on camera?
I'm having some technical issues, sorry.
Okay.
That's convenient.
let me text somebody and see if they respond.
Mr. Mayor, moving forward, should we as council members bug you about things we want to be involved with? Or as the executive officer, would you be willing to say, follow my lead?
No, you can, especially when it comes to budget, you can ask to be involved. There's nothing wrong with the budget committee. I've seen them do it, and I've seen them not do it. So you can ask to be involved. It's no problem.
Because, yeah, like Jim said, I bug him all the time about questions that, what I try to do is.
You stop by.
Yeah, well, it's a thing like, I don't want to say run interference, because that's our responsibility, that's what we signed up for, but when a person asks a question, and I have to come to the expert to ask because you're the man.
And
So-
you made a comment a second ago, the technical difficulties were not planned, so
Well, no, I
squash that.
wouldn't-
Not you, Kevin.
I wouldn't think-
I did.
All.
I did.
Oh, no, I wouldn't think it was on purpose.
Now that I'm up here, Bobby made a motion at the last meeting for the salary ordinance for police and fire, and all full-time employees and part-time employees, 2%. I absolutely agree with that. I think if you don't give these people a raise, you are doing a disservice to the employees of the city. Forget about elected officials.
Oh, yeah. No raise for us, for sure. I like Dave's idea. About once every 4 years, I think that's good. Bobby, what do
We
you?
still,
I'm waiting to
we
hear
still
back
waiting
from
for,
them, but we
okay.
can at least read the salary ordinance into the record, because it has to be read once at least.
Right.
And that's a 9-page document, so if we wanted to get it read in the record.
Okay. Well, what I would suggest immediately right now is, I've heard from a lot of my constituents about their issue about not having the public here to address any of their concerns about the budget, and I agree with that. I voiced my opposition to having a closed meeting, not allowing public here. I talked to the mayor about it personally on the phone earlier. Real quick, just for clarification, Mayor, Is the senior center and the community center still operational, or are they shut down also?
They're operational, but under the governor's order, that only applies to city halls and courts.
Okay. With that being said, I think that we need to have the public here, give them the opportunity to address their elected officials, give them the opportunity to voice either their support or their opposition to the budget or certain things in the budget. With Jim, with what you had told us was that we can suspend the vote on the budget until the next meeting on November 2nd. I say that we go ahead and at least suspend the budget, the second and third reading, until November 2nd meeting.
But let me,
She was recommending doing second reading tonight, suspending it, continuing it for third and final reading on the second. That's what she suggested, Miranda, with the DLGF.
We
Okay.
can't do second and third on the
She just-
second? For the budget?
I don't think that'd be a problem, but I can email her real quick and see.
you can do second, and if you want to continue the meeting until November 2nd, that's when you do third reading.
When the public hopefully will be.
But Bobby, let me respond to that. We had a budget workshop on September the 21st. Now, take it for granted, the public was not, if you remember, the public was not allowed to respond.
Correct.
They could come in here and observe. We had a first reading of the budget on October the 5th. And then the second reading and third reading was scheduled for tonight. From the time, and Kevin asked earlier and Jim talked about it, from September the 21st until tonight, not one person called or came to City Hall and asked to see the budget. Now, if you look at your budget, the very first sentence, it says, be it order or, now wait a minute, where's the advertise it? It talks about the clerk treasurer,
It's on this page.
says the clerk treasurer, somewhere on here, I read it a minute ago, has the budget in its entirety for public review at the city hall. Somewhere on there it said, I just read it. So anyway, Bobby, from September 21st until tonight, almost 1 month, there has not been one person call City Hall and talk about the budget or ask about the salaries. There has not been one person come in and ask to see the 2021 budget. At the council meeting on October the 5th, not one person signed up to speak in favor of the budget or against the budget when we had the public hearing.
I understand that, but we also cannot just assume that nobody wants to speak for it or against it and deny them the opportunity to have that right when this was supposed to be a public meeting and then it got canceled to the public where we can't hear from anybody. I'm just saying, we need to allow, we need to give the public the opportunity
cancellation
if they wanted to.
Was done out of, the sole reason for the public not coming tonight is COVID,
Then why
period.
is the senior center still open? That's why I don't understand.
It may not be by the end of the week.
Then, I mean, I'm just saying, if we're gonna,
Same way with the community center.
then if it's that serious, then we need to close all of those things down. They're the most at-risk population. That's what it doesn't make any sense.
I agree, and I talked to the director a couple days ago and said, we may very well be heading this direction. When I came down from this meeting tonight, or before this meeting started, and on the news, there is a 500% increase in COVID cases in the United States. We have had 8,000 new COVID cases in the last 4 days in this state. What do? Roll the dice?
No, but I'm just saying, it's either all one or all the other. If it's if that's the reason, then we need to take more extreme measures in all areas to protect our citizens, not in the one avenue in which they have a
You
license.
understand, this is governor's order, not just necessarily.
It hasn't changed, though. We could have done this the whole time. It's not like the governor went backwards. It's just that we extended that stage 5. Nothing new happened.
The expiration date, he extended that.
Yeah, just the expiration date extended.
Council, I think Kevin's already said this, but I'll say it again. This isn't gonna get any better. We're gonna be sitting here 2 weeks from tonight, and it's gonna be worse, and we may be in the exact same position that we are in as we are tonight. So, I don't know why you'd wanna delay this. It just doesn't make any sense. We're not gonna be in a better position 2 weeks from tonight. It's just not gonna happen. The math and what we read on the Department of Health's website, that just doesn't suggest it.
My biggest fear is people coming back from fall break.
Craig, can I ask you a question, if you don't mind? And this is with not only your legal mind, as a father and as a son. And I think earlier Kevin asked me a question, and I'm going to share what I did. One of the inquiries I had from one of my constituents, I took their question and I summarized it into my verbiage. And this is the way it broke down, and these are my words. And I'm not picking on anyone, okay? I'm just asking a question that an elderly lady asked, okay? Based on the mayor's salary, based on the city clerk's salary, and based on several of my senior department head salaries, their salaries are 5 times what she makes, based on her Social Security recipients on her annual budget, 5 times. So when I went by to talk with her, okay, in that, I couldn't give her an answer because I've got, family, and I asked one family member, they both receive Social Security, and one of their checks is 8 something a month. So, and then another comment that was made later when I asked her the questions, and I rounded up to roughly her annual income of being $15,000 annually, based on her, her, and also, of course, her insurance comes out of that too. So again, $15,000 was very generous. She's more like in the $10,000 range, if not 11. In her, I couldn't answer her. When some of our employees, now again, they all do exceptional work. We're very fortunate. We're very blessed as a city. But how can I tell her when certain folks make that kind of, and she's the one that's going to be paying those additional monies. And I'm talking about a salary increase. Not so much the budget, I'm talking about the salary now. How would you, as a son, as a father, as a taxpayer in Beech Grove, how would you answer that? Or is there an answer?
Well, I would say, ma'am, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We've got to be cognizant of other people's health, and we've got to be cognizant of the people who attend this and be in this room. And, it's a very unfortunate situation. I'm sure it's not, it's happened in the past, but, what do you suggest, Gary? What do you think we should do?
Well, I can tell you this. What I gave her an example, and I was hoping that some of the department heads guys would be here. I didn't know that excluded them too. What I gave her an example of when the mayor asked the young professionals to come forward, I think Nick, very well spoken, and this is the example that I gave. His concern was the 27 payroll cycles next year. It's just a calendar thing, it's just the way it is. But that's why I clarified with this elderly lady, is it Social Security or your pension? Because there's other individuals in our community in Beech Grove that receives a pension, and that 27 cycle will affect them too. So not only will the professionals that service our community be affected, residents, our neighbors, our friends, they will be affected as well. So it goes across the board affecting everyone. So then I go back to my statement I mentioned earlier about being conservative. That's my major concern, because Lord willing, things work out well, much like Kev said. And what's the possibility next year, looking at giving, I just hate the automatic raises, do we do annual reviews? I tried to read the Beech Grove handbook, and the copy I got was very, very old. Are there annual reviews, that type of thing? You know, if we do the same job and you outperform me, well, you should get a raise. Period, dot. Old school.
Gary, you know how many people spoke up at the last meeting to speak?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, you know how many people spoke up at the last meeting who signed up?
Zero.
Exactly.
But, you know, I've been in that position where I've sit out there as a citizen last year, and a lot of the documentation, obviously, we're entitled to, privileged to, they don't have that information. They just don't. So did they know to prepare to, again, I don't know how y'all talk to your folks. That's your, you know, respectfully, that's your information. But I make myself available every month. And you can sit back and see, a lot of the folks that come in that small caucus room aren't from my district, and that's okay. It really is okay. But when I show that to them, they've got an hour at a time to try to digest all this information. And I know as soon as I got my packet, I put a lot of time into it to study and be prepared as best I could be with facts. So that answers your question.
Gary, the only other comment on that is that as a citizen of Beech Grove, if I call 911, I expect the police to come. And I expect the fire department to come, and I expect my trash to be picked up. These guys are professionals, and if we don't adequately compensate the police, especially the police, they're going to move on. And then we will really be in a hole. The chief, who's not here, he'll tell you right now, he can't find an applicant. So,
But it's a thing though, Mayor, we have a limited amount of monies, our small community. And with that angle you're trying to put out there, we're trying to compete with the larger cities. We'll never be able to do it. We can't compete with Indianapolis, what they offer. We can't compete with the guys and gals up north. They're
no,
just,
but if we don't adjust their salaries, we're going to fall further and further behind.
okay, well, I've got a cheesy pie chart I put out here. And, Liz, are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. If you look at that 15.2 million, and you look at the Department of Public Works, all monies that pertain to our police professionals, and all monies pertain to our fire department professionals, that's 90% of our budget. And it's right here if you want to look at it. 90%.
Gary, always has been. That isn't anything new. It's been like that for years and years and years.
It's creeped
I
up.
thought it would be 85% of our total budget is salaries. Not surprising. That's how it's always been. As long as I could ever remember. Even when I was on the fire department doing budget, it was always like that. So, council, General Ordinance number 8, 2020 is up for reading on second reading this evening. Somebody has to give us some guidance on what you want to do.
I think we're waiting to see if Jim got any.
And Jim responded, like I said, she responded, she said, salary ordinance doesn't go through us, that's the State Board of Accounts. So I emailed the State Board of Accounts, and they're not responding. I texted Jeff Peters, he's not responding. So like I said,
I mean, a budget is a projection of what's needed. A budget is a projection, and it can always be modified and changed, and
Right.
so I personally, I think that in view of the landscape and the way the numbers and the projection and the surges are going on with the COVID, I think we should go ahead and hear both these, the budget and then the salary ordinance, hear them on second and third reading and pass this thing tonight. That's what I want to do, and that's what I'll vote for.
and you're correct, it is kind of an estimate. Like this year, we've already adjusted 2020's budget twice this year. We had an encumbrance from last year we brought forward earlier in the year, an encumbrance for the paving, and then the additional appropriations that we just did as well, for the police and fire, and then the trail and all those other fees there. So there is an option. You can always, if the fees come back or more taxes come in next year, you do additional appropriation and then adjust it accordingly. And that can happen next year with an additional appropriation. But again, we just don't know what, like I said, what next year will bring. But you can modify it as well later with additional things.
So if you need a motion to hear these, I'll make the motion right now. Let's get moving.
We're just dealing with the salary ordinance only.
Fine.
On
I'll
second
make
reading. And before you make a motion, Liz, if you pull out your salary ordinance, there has to be a change made in it. If you go back to the third from the last page, section 9. We had to change the language because it says that the commercial driver's license, $1,250 is included in the salary. That's what the old one said. That is not accurate. That is not included in the salary. So that has to be amended. It can only be added if the employee has the commercial driver's license. It's not part of their base salary. So I would ask for a motion to amend that to include that.
I'll make a motion to amend that.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Now, General Ordinance 8 is up for approval on second reading only. And at this time, I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance into the record in its entirety.
Tell me if I get going too fast. There's a lot of numbers here. City of Beech Grove, Indiana, 27 pays, 2021 salary ordinance. General Ordinance Number 8, 2020 is a salary ordinance fixing the biweekly rate for appointed and elected officials and employees for the City of Beech Grove, Indiana in the year 2021. Be ordained by the Common Council for the City of Beech Grove, Indiana. Section 1, that from and after the first day of the year 2021, the biweekly rate for appointed and elected officials and employees of the City of Beech Grove be fixed as follows. Mayor's Office. Mayor from Corporation, biweekly $1322.92, yearly $35,718.80. Mayor from Sewage, $1129.29, weekly, biweekly, yearly $3490.62. Mayor's Assistant, biweekly $1773.65, yearly $47,888.55. Clerk Treasurer's Office. Clerk Treasurer from Corporation, biweekly $1349.82, yearly $36,445.26. Clerk Treasurer from Sewage, biweekly $1018.92, yearly $27,510.74. Administrative Assistant HR Clerk, biweekly $1276.32, yearly $34,460.64. Deputy Clerk, biweekly $1499.37, yearly $40,482.99. Office Manager, biweekly $1276.30, yearly $34,460.10. Clerk, biweekly $1445.0, yearly $3915.0. Assistant Clerk part-time, up to $1462 per hour, not to exceed 58 hours per biweekly pay, 29 hours per week. Assistant Clerk full-time, biweekly $1182.66, yearly $31,931.82. Board of Sanitation and Public Works and Safety, board members biweekly $105.20, yearly $2840.29. Crossing guards $24.40 per hour, not to exceed 58 hours per biweekly pay, 29 hours per week. Crossing guards hired after January 1st, 2014, $16.78 per hour, not to exceed 58 hours per biweekly pay, 29 hours per week. City of Beech Grove Common Council, council members, biweekly $173.40, yearly $4681.80. Department of Public Works, Motor Vehicle Highway, MVH, and Sewage. Director of Public Works, biweekly $2957.87, yearly $79,862.49. Building Clerk, $1775.71, yearly $47,939.04. Sewage Clerks, part-time, up to $1462 per hour, not to exceed 58 hours per biweekly pay, 29 hours per week. Public Works Secretary, part-time, up to $1462 per hour, not to exceed 58 hours per biweekly pay, 29 hours per week. Janitorial Service, part-time, up to $1462 per hour, not to exceed 58 hours per biweekly pay, 29 hours per week. Sanitary Stormwater Supervisor, biweekly $1786.84, yearly $48,244.68. Biweekly CDL license $4630, yearly $1250. $1,000. Sanitation MVH laborer part-time, up to $15.70 per hour, not to exceed 58 hours per biweekly pay, 29 hours per week. Street commissioner, $2,099.93, yearly $56,698.11. Biweekly compliance positions, up to $16.78 per hour, not to exceed 58 hours per biweekly pay, 29 hours per week. Mechanic biweekly, $1934.51, yearly $52,231.77. Commercial driver, biweekly $1851.26, yearly $49,984.02. Lead laborer, $1775.06, yearly $47,926.62. Laborer third year, biweekly $1597.71, yearly $43,138.17. Laborer second year, $1515.44, yearly $4916.88. Probationary laborer first year, biweekly $1415.60, yearly $38,221.20. Department of Parks and Recreation, Parks Board. Parks Director, biweekly $2594.03, yearly $70,038.81. Parks General Staff part-time, up to $14.62 per hour, not to exceed 58 hours per biweekly pay, 29 hours per week. Hornet Park Community Center Facility Special Events Coordinator full-time, $1499.37 biweekly, yearly $40,482.99. Hornet Park Program Assistant, biweekly $1078.52, yearly $29,120.0. Hornet Park General Staff part-time, up to $14.62 per hour, not to exceed 58 hours per biweekly pay, 29 hours per week. Senior Citizen Center, Community Service Coordinator, biweekly $1523.50, yearly $41,134.50. Transportation Administrative Coordinator, $1173.60, biweekly, yearly $31,687.20. General Staff part-time, up to $14.32 per hour, not to exceed 58 hours per biweekly pay, 29 hours per week. Fire Department Master Firefighter third year, biweekly $2537.17, yearly $68,503.59. Firefighter second year, biweekly $2359.28, yearly $63,700.56. Probationary Firefighter, biweekly $2098.31, yearly $56,654.37. First Class Firefighter, for pension base only at $3,080, total $71,583.59. For the following positions, add Chief, biweekly $870.37, yearly $23,500. Operations Chief, biweekly $685.19, yearly $18,500. Battalion Chief, biweekly $407.41, yearly $11,000. Captain, $259.26 biweekly, yearly $7,000. Lieutenant, $185.19 biweekly, yearly $5,000. EMS Duty Officer, biweekly $92.60, yearly $2,500. State Certified Paramedic, $3704 biweekly, $1,000 yearly. Engineer, $129.63 biweekly, $3,500 yearly. This position paid listed above is not calculated in the base salary. First year civilian paramedic, biweekly $1957.26, yearly $52,846.02. Second year civilian paramedic, biweekly $2,171.16, yearly $58,621.32. Third year civilian paramedic, biweekly $2295.29, yearly $61,672.83. Police Department, first class patrolman, third year, biweekly $2537.17, yearly $68,503.59. Patrolman, second year, biweekly $2359.28, yearly $63,700.56. Probationary patrolman, first year, biweekly $2098.31, yearly 56,654.37. Sergeant, biweekly 129.63, yearly 3,500. Lieutenant, biweekly 185.19, yearly 5,000. Captain, biweekly 259.26, yearly 7,000. Chief, biweekly 870.37, yearly 23,500. Deputy Chief, biweekly 685.19, yearly 18,500. Deputy Chief of Operations, biweekly 685.19, yearly 18,500. Major Shift Commander, 407.41, yearly 11,000. Detective, biweekly 64.82, yearly 1750.00. SRT member, biweekly 4630, yearly 1,250. FTO instructor, biweekly 37.04, yearly $1,000. Position pay listed above is not calculated in the base salary. Includes first class patrolman 30-year salary plus position pay, $3,500 for sergeants, $5,000 for lieutenants, and $7,000 for captains. Patrolman first class for pension base only add $3,080 for a total of $71,583.59. The base salary figure includes $3,500 pay for Indiana law enforcement graduates required for employment. Police civilian general staff, office manager biweekly 1896.06, yearly 51,193.62. Animal control officer 1882.66, yearly 50831.82. Receptionist biweekly 1375.64, yearly 37,142.28. Detective secretary part-time, up to $15.67 per hour, not to exceed 58 hours per biweekly pay, 29 hours per week. PAO front lobby part-time, up to $16.24 per hour, not to exceed 58 hours per biweekly pay, 29 hours per week. Lobby police officer part-time, up to $21.64 per hour. IDACS coordinator full-time, $1884.23. Biweekly, yearly, $50874.21. City Court, biweekly judge, $1,761.26, yearly $47,554.00. Court clerk full-time, biweekly $1829.39, yearly $49,393.53. Court clerk part-time, up to $14.61 per hour, not to exceed 58 hours per biweekly pay, 29 hours per week. Court bailiff, minimum of 3 hours, time and a half per police officer's current pay rate. Section 2, education incentive pay, governed by ordinance 37.11, education incentive pay. Section 3, longevity benefit. Each full-time employee of the City of Beech Grove shall receive a longevity increment of $154 per year at the beginning of the following year after their hire with the City of Beech Grove as of January 1st, 2021. This benefit only applies to employees' most current employment with the city. Employees that resign or leave employment with the city and return to employment with the city cannot receive this benefit based on past employment history. This benefit will be calculated from the most recent hire date. Elected officials are not eligible for this benefit. This benefit is only available to full-time employees. Section 4, clothing allotment pay. In 2021, each member of the fire and police department shall receive a clothing allowance of $1,000 per year in 2 installments of $500 each. For each employee of the Department of Public Works, they shall receive $250 per year with installments of $125. The payment shall be made with the first payroll in June and December or before. The Board of Public Works and Safety shall have the discretion to annually establish and modify the amount of benefit. The city shall also pay for any clothing expenses identified in the collective bargaining agreements for both the police and fire departments above the clothing allowance disbursement. Employees of the Department of Public Works are given clothing when needed as replacements. This allotment is for at-home maintenance or of distributed clothing. Civilian employees of the police department and the departments within the city are not eligible for this benefit. Probationary employees of the fire and police departments are not eligible for this benefit. Section 5, Police Department holiday pay. Officers who work any city-recognized holiday shall have the option of being paid at the officer's overtime rate for each hour worked on that holiday or receiving 8 hours of holiday hold time. Officers whose regularly scheduled day off falls on the holiday shall receive 8 hours of holiday hold time. Section 6, shift differential for police department. A shift differential of $1 per hour shall be paid for any hours worked by a member of the police department between 1,400 and 0,600 hours. An additional shift differential of 50 cents per hour shall be paid for any hours worked by a member of the department between 2,200 hours on Friday until 2,200 hours on Sunday. The policies concerning payment of shift differential may only be modified during the term of this agreement after written notice to and consultation of the FOP. Section 7, holiday pay for the fire department. The city shall maintain a holiday rate in accordance with the employees of the SLSA half-time pay rate, plus the employee's regular salary rate for the final 17 hours of the shift, along with the first 7 hours of a shift. This policy may only be modified during the term of this agreement after written notice to and consultation of the BGPFA. Section 8, special duty pay. Members of the department who are assigned to the Special Response Team, SRT, shall receive special duty pay of $1250.00 on an annualized basis. Those officers assigned to the Investigations Division shall receive a position pay of $1750.00 for the 2021 and will increase by $250 each year of the contract. The above position pays and special duty pay shall commence upon an officer beginning such a position or duty and shall end if and when an officer ceases his position, role, or responsibility in said position or duty as determined by the police chief. The police chief shall make recommendations to amend that officer's salary to reflect the addition or loss of said certification, position, or duty. Section 9, commercial driver's license. Employees assigned to the Senior Citizen Center and Department of Public Works who are required to have a commercial driver's license shall be compensated $1,250 in 2021 for such certificate. This is an increase from $1,000 in 2020. This payment is included in the base salary of those employees assigned to the senior citizens and added to the base salary of the affected members of the Department of Public Works who qualify. Section 10, wages and salaries. The city agrees to negotiate with the FOP and MCPFF Local 416 prior to recommending the salary ordinance for the members of the police department and fire department to the common council for the budget year 2021. Otherwise, the city agrees to a cost of living COLA increase equal to 3% of their current salary in 2021. The city will ensure that the base salaries for full-time third-year police officers and full-time third-year firefighters continue to reflect parity with each other for the term of this agreement. This ordinance number 8, 2020 supersedes any previous ordinances or employee handbooks written by the city of Beech Grove. The rates for wages shown in this ordinance number 8, 2020 are for positions listed and are for the maximum biweekly rates. The biweekly rates are subject to approval of the Department of Local Government and Finance, DLGF, for a levy and tax rate sufficient to fund them. The ordinance number 8, 2020 will take effect January 1st, 2021.
Thank you, Jim. General ordinance number 8, 2020 is up for approval on second reading only. This time I ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion to approve general ordinance number 8, salary ordinance 2021.
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign.
No.
General ordinance number 8, 2020 is up for approval on third and final reading this evening. This time I'll ask for a motion to read by title only.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
We'll start here on my left. Dave?
Title only?
Title only?
Title only.
Title only.
Title only.
I ask the clerk to read the ordinance into the record, please.
Thank you. City of Beech Grove, Indiana, 27 pays 2021 salary ordinance. General ordinance number 8, 2020 is a salary ordinance fixing the biweekly rate for appointed and elected officials and employees for the City of Beech Grove, Indiana in the year 2021. Be it ordained by the Common Council for the City of Beech Grove, Indiana.
Thank you, Jim. General ordinance number 8, 2020 is up for approval on third and final reading this evening. This time I ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion to approve General Ordinance Number 8, 2020, the salary ordinance for 2021.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign.
No.
Please register your vote. Thank you.
Please strike yes or no.
Oh, yeah.
Just right
Where'd that form come from, Jim?
Is yours?
No, it doesn't have it.
It's right here.
Wow.
All right, so General Ordinance Number. Salary, okay. And you just say yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, council. General Ordinance Number 9, 2020, which is the 2021 budget, is up for approval on second reading only. At this time, I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance in its entirety. Thank you. Just the first page, Jim.
Ordinance number 9, be it ordained, resolved by the Beech Grove City Council that for the expenses of Beech Grove Civil City for the year ending December 31st, 2021, the sums herein specified are hereby appropriated and ordered set apart out of the several funds herein named and for the purposes herein specified. Subject to the laws governing the same, such sums herein appropriated shall be held to include all expenditures authorized to be made during the year, unless otherwise expressly stipulated and provided for by law. In addition, for the purposes of raising revenue to meet the necessary expense of Beech Grove Civil City, the property tax levies and property tax rates are as herein specified are included herein. Budget Form B for all funds must be completed and submitted in the manner prescribed by the Department of Local Government Finance. This ordinance resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and approved by the Beech Grove City Council. Name of adopting entity, Beech Grove City Council. Type of entity, Beech Grove City Council. Date of adoption, 10/19/2020. Funds, Fund Code 0061. Name, rainy day. Adopted budget 0. Adopted tax levy 0. Adopted tax rate 0. 0101 general. Adopted budget 10/197/020. Adopted tax levy 7/219/294.0. Adopted tax rate 1.5199. 0180 debt service. Adopted budget 236,051.0. Adopted tax rate, tax levy 222,000.0. Adopted tax rate 0.0467. Fire pension 0341 fire pension. Adopted budget 389,000.0. Adopted tax rate, tax levy 78,000.0. Adopted tax rate 0.0164. 0342 police pension. Adopted budget 533,000.0. Adopted tax levy 108,000.0. Adopted tax rate 0.0227. 0706 local road and street. Adopted budget 518,500.0. Adopted tax levy 0. Adopted tax rate 0. 0708 motor vehicle highway 1316350.0. Adopted tax levy 0. Adopted tax rate 0. Continuing education 1151. Continuing education. Adopted budget 40000.0. Adopted tax rate 0. Adopted tax levy 0. Adopted tax rate 0. 1310 park non-diverting capital. Adopted budget 25000.0. Adopted tax levy 0. Adopted tax rate 0. Total adopted budget 13254,921.0. Adopted tax levy 7627294.0. Adopted tax rate 1.6057. Home rule funds not reviewed by the DLGF. Fund code 9500. Fund name public safety Lowett 1170. Adopted budget 1993200.0. Total budget 1993200.0.
Thank you, Jim. Journal orders number 9, 2020 is up for approval on second reading only this evening. I ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion to approve general ordinance number 9, our budget for 2021.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign.
No.
At this point, I'm at the mercy of the council. We can continue for the third reading or continue it until November the 2nd.
I'll make a motion that we suspend the ordinance reading until the November 2nd meeting so we can allow the public to be here to voice their concerns, if they have any.
And if the public's not allowed, we'll have to just go forward.
Well, I'm pretty sure we can put safety
Hopefully.
measures in place,
I agree.
limit the number of people, have testing at the door before they come in the building, and allow them to have masks, and have them speak from their chair versus coming from the podium.
There's a motion to continue it to the next, or
second.
suspend it to the next meeting, and a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign.
Aye.
No.
We will hear this on third and final reading at the November 2nd meeting. That concludes new business this evening, or old business, I'm sorry. New business, 2021 RDC budget. This is something that the city council has to do each year. They have to approve the budget of the redevelopment commission. It's a one-time vote approval, and Jim will do all of the forward paperwork. But this comes from the redevelopment commission, and I'll ask Liz to walk us through it real quick. Liz?
Well, walking through it, just please accept the following as the 2021 budget for the Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission attaches our estimated detail of 2021 expenditures, which we believe to further our function and plans of redevelopment and best serve the citizens of Beech Grove. Also attached are excerpts of the Beech Grove City Fiscal Plan, updated by Mr. Jeff Peters, which show that the budget can be funded. 2016 bond payments, $399,360. Professional fees, $50,000. Our total 2021 budget, $449,360.
Comments from council members?
I did watch the last RDC meeting on video, and I wasn't too excited about how that transpired. What all are we getting done besides paying bills over there at the RDC? I mean, are we getting anything done besides just paying bills?
Well, that's what we're doing right now. We're hoping for, I know that the project at the CSX property unfortunately did not come through, so we were hoping to serve some benefit from that. We are going to, at our next meeting, we have to do some TIF district reallocations, and that's going to be at this Thursday meeting. So there's also some talk about helping some of the Main Street businesses, finding some offsetting outside seating, so that was a venture with the city. But right now, that's where we are right now. So no big expenditures in the plans right now.
It's an awful lot for a budget of $400,000 for
That's true.
nothing on the docket.
That is
Yeah,
true.
the bond's almost paid off, that's a good thing though.
Yep.
We'll have a year and a half, and that'll be done, so they've been paying on that for a long time.
Mr. Mayor, what was your gut when Mr. Showalter sent you that email about the RDC a few weeks back? You forwarded that?
I have to remember what the email was.
Is it worth its weight?
The RDC, is it worth?
It could be a very good investment tool for the city of Beech Grove if the RDC gets together and does something. If they continue to argue at every meeting, it's not worth it. I will not point fingers at anybody.
No.
I'm just saying that for the good of the order, they should be investing in the city of Beech Grove.
What was the RDC budget last year?
I'm not even sure right now, I apologize. I don't have that number.
Kevin, I don't know that.
I don't have it.
There is plenty of work that needs to be done in the city. And they have some
Getting everybody
good,
on board to,
and let me point out something
I know
to
it's
you.
tough, but
If you go to page 2 of the report, at the end of 2021, there is a projected fund balance of $1,014,000. That can do a lot of things in the city. It could pave roads, it could build an amphitheater, it could do all kinds of economic development. We just have to put our heads together, and we have to get out of he said, she said, arguing. And like I said, I'm not going to point any fingers at anybody. The RDC has issued debt back in 2005 and 2006 over to the tune of about $6 million that will be paid off in a year and a half. If you have, it's the RDC, the funds from a TIF district are similar to the public safety tax. If you don't spend your public safety tax on the police and fire department, and you have a balance, high balance, you begin to ask yourself, what are you doing? If you are not spending these funds on the police and fire, why do you have a public safety tax? If the RDC is not, these funds come from TIF district taxes. If you are not using these TIF funds to better the TIF district or TIF area, and you have this balance, why do you even have TIF districts? Doesn't make any sense. So the recommendation with the public safety tax, spend it down on your police and fire department. The RDC, spend this down and do economic development, do enhancement to the TIF districts to make it better. One of those two things. That's not happening right now, but that doesn't mean it can't happen. They just need a little push. And, but that's where that is, especially, and taxpayers will ask, how come we're paying into this TIF district and this balance is built up? Why don't you spend it? And it's a valid point.
yeah.
So I agree with Kevin. I watched that meeting, and matter of fact, was I at that meeting, Gary? I can't remember.
Oh, I don't remember. All right. Oh, actually, yeah, you were, actually, yes. Because we sit back there and we're laughing.
Well, I know that At the start of the year, the presentation that Mr. Peters presented was with allocations of money coming in, it was so tight that we weren't even sure that we were going to meet our obligations, and then some of those obligations fell off. So, and we have helped with the Greenway. So, and I think there's some additional help that will be helping finalize of some Greenway funding, correct, Jim? Yeah. Which is certainly a benefit to the city.
But you have, in this budget here, other than professional fees, it's all bond payments, you have to pay your debt obligation. You got to pay it. And as a matter of fact, it's automatically deducted. So it's hard to ask, over the years, it's kind of ironic, it's hard to ask the city council to pass an RDC budget that they're really not familiar with. You know, but you're required to do it, so it's on the motion tonight, or I'll ask for a motion to approve this budget.
I'll make said motion.
Second?
I'll second if I can.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Oh,
How many,
Wait a minute.
3.
3 and 3.
okay, let's do a roll call. Gary?
No, sir.
Liz?
Yes.
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 It's 3-3 tie, so I'll break the tie, I vote yes. So, I will make that for the record, Jim. I will not introduce General Ordinance 10, 2020 on first reading tonight. We'll do that at the November 2nd meeting. So that concludes new business. Council comments. Dave?
I have none.
I don't have any either. Just everybody stay safe and healthy.
I just wanted to call everyone's attention, St. Luke's Episcopal Church, along with 25 other houses of worship across the country, they're hosting a mourning into Unity Vigil, which is bringing the country together to grieve the deaths of the ongoing pandemic, the deaths of people from the ongoing pandemic and other collective losses brought on by COVID-19. So St. Luke's Episcopal Church, they have a wonderful website. They've had this ongoing mourning into Unity Vigil, so it's a quite a good effort by churches across the country.
I would just like to thank my constituents for reaching out to me and sharing their heartfelt concerns. And I truly appreciate their input.
Karen?
I would also like to thank all the constituents that reached out to me, and that I made contact with every single one of you, and your voices were heard and your concerns were heard, so I just wanted to recognize that.
Bobby?
I would just like to reiterate again, since the Facebook page was down at the beginning of the meeting, I publicly disagree with not allowing any citizens in the meeting today. I hope we have citizens that show up to the November meeting if we can have them. I suggested safety measures to be put in place to ensure everybody's safety. As elected officials, we need to make sure that we hear from our citizens and give them the opportunity to address us. Even though none of them have addressed any concerns about the budget as of to date, we need to give them the opportunity and every opportunity to address their concerns and not limit that concern. That's all I have. Thank you.
One last thing, and then we'll adjourn. Oh, we won't adjourn. We will continue. I passed out this pamphlet for the meeting, and that is the pavement asset management plan for the city of Beech Grove. Every other year for about the last 6 to 8 years, I don't remember when we started it, we hired an engineering firm to come out and inventory every street in Beech Grove. And they give each street a rating. 1 to 3 is bad, 4 to 6 is average, 7 to 10 is good. And they call it the PASER rating. And NDOT, if you would like to get funding from NDOT, you are required to do this. So if you just pull up one of the random sheets, this is on the website. If you just pull up one of the sheets and you go all the way over to almost the end of the sheet, you'll see the rating for that respective street. Don't look at the one that says lanes, look at the one that says rating, and that will, those who pull this up will be able to look at where their street is rated.
Wow, cool.
Now, obviously, the worst roads are 1, 2, and 3. So, on this report for this year, there are no streets rated 1. There are about 24 streets rated 2. So we will focus on streets that are rated 1 and 2 when we choose what roads to be paved. If you look on this if you look on this rating in your district and you see a rating of 3 or higher, there is a good chance over the next 2 years that that road is not going to get paved. It's going to be either a 1 or a 2. So that's where we're at with this. And we will update this again next year, and then we'll have another inventory done in 2022. So that's what this is. This is on the website for review. But this is good information. It's well put together, and I hope it helps people identify what roads may be getting paved. So that's it. Motion to adjourn.
I
I'm
want to
sorry.
bring one thing up. I did look at the citizens bill we got. It was substantially lower than the month before. Almost $100,000 less.
The $153,000 was 2 months of bills.
Oh, okay.
The 45,000 was low, and we could use that every month.
Yeah.
I had to call and ask for that bill, so I'm like, I never got a bill. So
Okay.
he said, oh, I'm sorry. So he sent
Well,
2
still,
bills.
that's
I know, it was.
pretty good.
Is that because of the drought? 'Cause
Yeah,
of-
no rain.
No rain.
Yeah, no rain.
So that shows you, what.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
To continue. So,
Motion to continue, I'm sorry.
just make sure, I just want to word it right, guys.
Make a motion to continue.
I'll second. Continue.
Can I take a vote? All in favor, aye, please?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. We will convene again on November 2nd. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.